Hello everyone, welcome to a video lecture on Schmitt trigger, which is a slight variation of bistable multivibrator. So I'll just show you how Schmitt trigger is different from bistable multivibrator, and then we will try to understand some important features of behavior of the Schmitt trigger. So how Schmitt trigger and bistable multivibrator are more or less similar. So let us look at that first. Now in a bistable multivibrator we have two switches Q1 and Q2, and the collector of Q1 is connected to the base of Q2 through a resistor, and you will have another resistor connected from base to ground. The purpose we will see later. And from the collector of Q2 through a resistor we will again connect to the base of Q1. So in a Schmitt trigger the second feedback is missing, that is the collector of Q2 is not connected to the base of Q1. So Q1 is left free, its input is not connected anywhere, but both the emitters of the transistors are coupled, connected and given to the ground through an emitter resistor called RE. So this is called emitter coupling. So we have connected both the emitters. So in a Schmitt trigger one feedback is missing and that input is free. So we will try to study how this connection will be behaving. We will also give an input voltage Vi at the base which is left unconnected at Q1, and when Vi changes, then we would like to observe what will happen to Q1 and Q2. Please remember, both Q1 and Q2 are still behaving like switches, they are not amplifiers. Please remember this point, which means Q1 can be either in saturation or cut off, Q2 also can be either in saturation and cut off, any one of these two. So we will call that as off and on. So whenever transistor is in cut off we will call it as off, and whenever it is in saturation we will call it as on. Now the circuit analysis is pretty simple, provided we begin with some basic calculations and some terminology. We have to learn some terminology here. So first of all we will define two voltages. One voltage we will call it as upper threshold voltage or upper threshold point, or UTP. Why we give it this name you will understand very shortly. So what is this UTP? UTP is that voltage which we calculate at the emitter coupled value. What is the voltage here at the emitter when Q1 is off and Q2 is on? Please remember that when Q1 is off and Q2 is on, whatever voltage is available at the emitter, that is across this RE, that we are calling as the upper threshold point. Okay, then what is lower threshold point? It is just the opposite. If Q1 is on and Q2 is off, what is the voltage at the emitter? So that voltage we are calling as the lower threshold point. Now it's very easy to calculate if you know that a transistor is working like a switch. Now let us take the first case. Let us say Q1 is off and Q2 is on. Okay. Now because Q1 is off, this transistor is not connecting the collector to the emitter. So Q1 is off and Q2 is on. So let us try to put it like this. So what is happening because of this? Because of this the collector and emitter are getting shorted. So this switch is getting shorted like this. Okay, so because this is off, this is not there, we don't have the transistor at all, so we can say that this connection is removed. Now in this condition we can very easily see that from the supply voltage V, RC2 is directly connected to the emitter and RE is going to ground. So this is the path, and we can very easily calculate the voltage VE. So what is voltage VE? It is just nothing but a voltage division. V is there, RC2 is there, and RE is there. We are ignoring the saturation voltage of collector to emitter. If you want, you can add that also, but we want to simplify. Okay, so what is the voltage here? The voltage here will be V multiplied by RE divided by RE plus RC2, RE plus RC2. That is what we are writing here, RE plus RC2. Understood? So this is called as the upper threshold point, or sometimes they'll call it as upper trigger point also. So UTP, but popularly we'll use the acronym UTP. Remember, so just you have to remember this thing. Okay, what did we do here? We assumed Q1 is off, Q2 is on, and we are calling it as upper threshold point. So this upper threshold point, always remember emitter voltage will calculate. This emitter voltage we are calling it as UTP or VH. Okay, this is equal to V into RE by RE plus RC2, where V is the supply voltage. Okay, now we will go to the next calculation. So what is the next calculation? The next calculation is lower threshold point. How do we get lower threshold point? We have to make Q1 on, we have to make Q1 on, and we have to make Q2 off. So Q1 is on and Q2 is off. So what will happen when Q1 is on? So this transistor will be shorted. That means the switch will be connecting the collector to the emitter, whereas this transistor is not there in the picture. This transistor is not there in the picture. Okay, now we see here very easily that this resistance RE is connected directly to V through RC1. Okay, through RC1 it is connected. Okay, so we can calculate the emitter voltage for the lower threshold point as VL, which is equal to V multiplied by RE divided by RE plus RC1, RE plus RC1, or RC1 plus RE. Okay, now these two things you try to remember. Later on we can add some complications, like we can include the collector to emitter saturation voltage. All these things we can add later, but for the time being just remember how easy it is to compute the upper threshold point and lower threshold point by making some approximations. So now we took the Schmitt-Trigger circuit. Now we want to know the behavior of this circuit. We want to know how it behaves. To know the behavior, we made some calculations. We said upper threshold point is V into RE by RE plus RC2. Lower threshold point is V into RE by RC1 plus RE. Okay. Now we are in a position to analyze the behavior of this circuit. Now how do we do that? We do that by trying to know some prior idea about a circuit to avoid some complication, some confusion. So this point here is, we need to remember that the circuit that is connected here will display a property which is called as a hysteresis. Okay, we will come to this point here, what is called as hysteresis. Now we know this phenomenon of hysteresis, which occurs in many different systems, but I would like to tell you a very simple example where any system that has a hysteresis will behave in such a way that it will remember the past. It will remember the past, and the past will decide what is the present course of action. Just remember this point. Now whatever it is going to do will depend on what happened just before the present time. So that means it will not behave exactly in the same way all the time. So this is something called a system is having some memory. It is remembering. How can it behave differently depending on the past? It has to remember the past. Okay. Now to make you understand how this is connected with our hysteresis loop, you must have seen in magnetism the concept of hysteresis loop. I will use that and explain the behavior. Now what is this graph? This graph is the behavior of this circuit based on the input, how the output is changing. So this is what we will try to understand in this particular hysteresis diagram. Now what happens in this diagram is, please remember the input is there. So input will be changing from any voltage to any voltage. For example, it may be at 0, it may be increasing like this, then again it may come down, it may reduce to 0, it may go negative. Like this it will be changing. The input will be changing from some minimum value to maximum value. We are calling it as input. Now what will be the output for such a input signal when the circuit is displaying hysteresis? So in this case what happens is, every such circuit will have 2 points. One is called as the lower threshold point, other one is called as the upper threshold point. It could be something else also, but essentially there will be two different values, okay, for the input voltage. This is called as some reference. This is only a reference. Okay, now let us see how this circuit will behave based on hysteresis. Now let us imagine that the input voltage is at 0 and it is increasing slowly from 0. Okay, now what will happen here? It will follow the graph. So while it is moving from 0, it will follow this graph. You can see the arrow. Okay, when it comes to LTP, will it go from low to high? No. Why? Because this arrow is not pointed from low to high. It is pointed from high to low. So it cannot take this path. It can only take this path. So when the input is increasing, it will continue to increase. The output will continue to be low while it is changing from 0 to LTP. It will continue like this. But when it reaches the UTP, and when it crosses the UTP from lower value to the higher value, for example, UTP is, let us say, some 4 volts. UTP of this circuit is 4 volts. Then if VI, the input voltage here, if it moves from 3 volts, it reaches 4 volts, then it crosses 4 to 4.1 or 4.2. What will happen at the output? At the output, the output will be changing from a low value to a high value. Suddenly it will jump. It will jump from low to high. And it will continue like that. Here I forgot to put the arrow. So here and here it is bidirectional. That means the variation can be from low, it can move like this. This is the path it will take. At UTP there will be a jump from low to high. Whenever the input voltage crosses UTP from the lower side, the output will jump from low to high. Okay, and if input continues, it will continue to remain high up to this point, even more. Now imagine that the input is reducing now. It is reducing from a high value, slowly it is coming down. So it will continue to remain high. The output will continue to remain high. and when it reaches the UTP, you see here it cannot take this path because arrow is pointing in this direction, so it cannot oppose the direction. So at UTP it will continue to show high at the output, and only when it reaches the lower threshold point, that means it reduces, Vi crosses, let us say LTP is 2. So Vi must reduce from some 2.1, it must come down to 1.9. At that time the output will go from high to low, and it will remain low for the remaining time. And when the input is again coming up, see, while in the forward direction, while in the increasing direction, whenever Vi crosses UTP, the output will be jumping from low to high. And in the reverse direction, when input is reducing from a high value to low value, the output will jump from high to low at LTP. So at two different levels, the output will be jumping its state. This is something which you have to remember. This is called as hysteresis. A simple example which I can give you is, you take an air conditioner for example, you set the air conditioner at let us say some 24 degrees centigrade. Then you will see that the AC will be off, AC will be on whenever the temperature crosses 25, not 24, approximately. It will be on whenever it crosses 25, and in the reverse direction it will be off whenever it goes below 23. So you can say 23 is the lower threshold point, 25 is the upper threshold point, 24 is where you set the temperature. So in the positive direction, the AC will be on when it crosses 25, AC will be off when it goes below 23. So why is this important? This is important because supposing we are making it operate at one temperature only, 24 it has to change. Then the small change in the temperature also, the AC will be becoming on off like that. So that is going to damage the air conditioner. That is why hysteresis is very valuable in practical situations. Now let us see how this circuit will work. So let us imagine initially Q1 is off and Q2 is on, and input voltage is 0. So when Q1 is off and Q2 is on, the emitter voltage will be equal to this upper threshold value. So whenever this input voltage is crossing VE, whenever input voltage is crossing the upper threshold point, because base is more than emitter, Q1 will be going into saturation. So when Q1 goes into saturation, this collector voltage will go to VE, and this in turn will drive the transistor Q2 into cutoff. Okay, whenever Q1 is on, this will be driven into cutoff. So output will go high. You can see here at the upper threshold point, output will go high. Now what happens to the emitter voltage here? Emitter voltage will no longer be V into RE by RE plus RC2, because we already calculated when Q1 is on and Q2 is off, this condition will prevail. So the emitter voltage has changed from the upper threshold point to lower threshold point. That is the key point in understanding the Schmitt trigger. So when Q1 becomes on and Q2 becomes off, the threshold point automatically jumps from higher value to the lower value. That means now we are at LTP. Now even if the input voltage is increasing further, nothing is going to happen. But when the input voltage is falling below the lower threshold point, that means somewhere here below the lower threshold point, then you will see that the base voltage is less than the emitter voltage. So Q1 will be cut off, then automatically Q2 will be on. So that is how the circuit will behave. Okay, so please remember these points. Now what you have to practice is draw the circuit correctly, know how to calculate the threshold points, and then understand the meaning of hysteresis. I gave a very brief introduction, and you try to study a little bit more, try to understand that, then we will discuss more through problems. Now we will take a practical waveform, something like this, and try to understand what will be the output. Okay. Now let us assume this is the input waveform. How input is changing? It can change randomly, something like this it is changing. Okay. Now for the circuit Schmitt trigger, the upper threshold point is kept here, some value, we call it as upper threshold. This is the lower threshold point. This is the input signal. Okay. Now you will see, we will plot the output. Output means collector of Q2. What is the voltage at Q2? We will try to plot. Now how do we plot? We will assume that the input voltage is increasing. When the input voltage is here, nothing will happen. Okay. Now when it is crossing the upper threshold point from the lower level to the higher level, here we will see that the output will jump from low value to high value, and it will remain there until you see what is happening. The UTP is also changing to LTP. Now no longer this UTP is valid. Once it crosses, UTP will be, emitter voltage will change from upper threshold to lower threshold. New value has come here. So even if the input voltage is changing, even if input voltage is coming here, it is coming down here, nothing is going to happen because this UTP is no longer there. UTP has become now LTP. So unless the input voltage goes below the lower threshold point, the transition will not occur. That means only at the point 2 the output will become low from high. Again, once it becomes low, the threshold point will again change, because Q1 has become on, Q2 has become off, or Q1 has become off, Q2 has become on, the ulta has happened. So the LTP will become UTP. Now all these changes, here also no change will occur here. Okay. It will continue to remain the same, the output will remain low. When will it become high? When again the input voltage crosses the upper threshold point from lower side, then the output will become high. Okay. Then how long will it be high? Again here there is no change, here again there is no change, because once it crosses, UTP will become LTP. So only when the input crosses 4 from the positive higher side to the lower side, the output will transit from high to low, and it will remain low no matter what happens here. It doesn't matter, these things are not transitions at all, because the threshold point has shifted from LTP to UTP. So now again next transition will occur at 5. Okay. So like this you have to understand how the output will be plotted with reference to the UTP and LTP for any given input signal. The input signal need not be a sine wave, need not be anything specific, it can be some variation. Okay. So please remember these points, and then we will try to do some problems. Okay. So I will give you one small problem later, and then you can try to solve it. Okay. So any doubts you have, please ask me, and then try to know these basic issues related to the Schmitt trigger. So thank you all. God bless you.